once a week.
Yeah.
Done, right? Because you have all the content.
Yeah.
You just need to
I
find it
can.
out.
One time, just go in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have my camera on.
Hello,
So you hit one and you've got.
am I the only
personal.
one on so far?
So.
Yeah, you're the only one on so far. I'm just gonna leave this muted for a second.
You're making stuff in the menu.
So it's not too
Yeah.
loud for you guys.
Do
I'll turn on
Yeah.
set.
Okay.
Hey, Spencer. Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
Good morning, Jeff.
I'm gonna leave this muted for a second because we're all just kind of chatting in here and it'll be really loud for you guys. I'll turn it on in a minute.
Okay. Good boy.
That's so sweet. I didn't even see you guys come in. I didn't even know you were here.
Yeah, you were probably in your office.
Oh,
Snuck in. I just unmuted that, guys, in case you wanted to say hi. Well, in case we wanted to say hi, I guess. You could always talk. We'll start here in a minute.
So out of curiosity, like, if you've done a couple of deals, raise your hand. If you've done nothing, no deals yet.
So let's have her go front so she can.
Hi.
Hi.
So has anybody, you done some transactions? Okay, wonderful. About like where we at?
Board closing this month.
That's awesome. Yay. Congrats.
Way to
Beautiful.
go.
Love it, love it. Okay, because I just want to kind of get an idea because I want to
Spencer's still
make
taking the classes,
sure.
right?
No, he's got his license.
He's got his license.
Yep, yeah, he's done a few.
Okay,
Awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, we're all deal makers in this group.
That is for sure.
Okay, guys, we're just gonna get started. It's straight up.
Oh, okay, well.
Should we do it?
So my 5 minutes fast.
So Chase has done a couple deals, Jesse's done deals, Ashley's done deals, Gabe's done deals, and Mary's done deals. So we all have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. Because I just don't know if like anybody's like brand new.
We might have some, come on, hey Dave, I'll let you know.
I think we got some new.
Was
ones in
Mary
there.
online or from?
She was supposed to be coming here, but we'll see how that shakes out.
Go listen to the
Do
voice.
you remember Mary Olson?
No,
Okay.
I might recognize her
Yeah.
face. I would say there's quite a few in here that are less than 2 years in the business.
Okay.
Does that help?
Hey, Alan. Looks like we're working
Hi,
now.
how are you?
Getting
Good.
a license.
Hey, Alan, we were just talking about where everybody's at that's on the call in their real estate career, how long they've been doing it, doing deals. You're still taking the classes, is that right?
Yeah, I should be done probably by the end of next month. I mean, the end of this month or first week of next month.
Cool. Love the hairnet, by the way. I don't know if you know what picture's showing.
I apologize.
No, it's classy.
No worries, I like it. Okay, guys, we're straight up on the hour, so we're gonna get started. Kathy's got some good stuff to share with us. We went to a field trip to Kathy's office and it was pretty awesome. Not a lot of other agents could make it, but some things they do different there, and it's probably a lot to do with Kathy, is they make things pretty fun, right? I mean, we shot confetti cannons, we got a tour of the office. You walk in like this, there's music going. I mean, when was the last time you went to your title company and there was like music?
Yeah.
And we were being really loud because we both talk really loud.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, sorry. And she's like, oh no, you don't need to tone it. They think something's wrong. If they can hear us, all the excitement. So just a totally different energy. So I encourage you guys, I mean, sometime come by and see Kathy, do a tour of the office. She introduced us to the escrow officers. We saw the facilities. They've even got a meditation room. Have we met? Sorry, some random dude walked in. I'm Jeff.
I'm back.
Ben, nice to meet you, Ben. Sorry. I'm just like, sure, do I know him? Do I not? Anyway, back to Novation title. I really liked the experience there. It was a little bit different than what we're used to. And it's a kind of, for the way Kathy explains it, the client experience, right? It's a celebration. It's like the day they've been looking forward to forever. And then it kind of like seems to be a little lackluster at the table and going through the papers and everything. No, they're like doing like, what's that video you call them?
Oh, the boomerangs.
Boomerangs.
Yeah, boomerangs, we do videos, we do pictures, and those confetti, these bright confetti cannon lights,
Yeah.
music, it's really just.
And that's what it should be, is a
Yeah.
total celebration at the very end, but like Jeff was saying, it's usually really solemn.
It's gonna dentist office needs some work.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So anyway, that was a great experience, and we've known Kathy for a long time. She's done several trainings for us. She's got a laundry list of topics that she is experienced on and able to teach on. Today, we're going to be talking about market prices and stats and stuff like that. And so I'm going to turn it over to her while I try and figure out the screen share here.
Yeah.
And she can tell you, add in anything else she wants to about Novation and herself, and we'll get ripping.
Awesome, that sounds great. All right, so Yeah, anytime you guys want to come and take a little tour of Novation, you're more than welcome. Also, if you're out in the field, can we all agree that sometimes our jobs get a little bit stressful? Yeah, we've got that meditation room that's open to all of our agents. And so seriously, come in, use it. We've got stones, we've got oils, we've got all kinds of things to help everybody just take a breath. And so would love to show you guys around and would love to have you guys give us a try and see how the experience is different from other title companies. There's no right and wrong, it's just we love the experience that we create for your clients. And it wasn't really me, it was kind of created before I got there. So that the owner is Nubia Rivera. So we are a locally owned, woman-owned business. And she's just a huge innovator and I just love working with her. One of the products of her innovative thoughts is that no other title company has a development coach. And that's what I do. So if you need some help, I'm not a broker. So I want to be really crystal clear. If you ask me a broker question, I'll send you back to your broker for the proper answer. But if you just have a, hey, I want to bounce this off of you, what do you hear out in the field that has been working for people? I'm it for you. Or if you want to be like, hey, I need an accountability partner, yep, I can do that for you too. So it's all kinds of really fun things we've got going on. How many of you guys love Tony Robbins? Perfect. All right, so great.
It's good.
Yeah.
This should work here for him.
Oh, wonderful.
Can I also just mention that Kathy was a lead buying agent for William Bustos, if anyone knows who that amazing man is. And she was also my team leader at KW when I was with KW. So she has so much knowledge, so much energy. And anyway, I just really respect her and want them to know that background about you as well.
Well, right back at you. You guys are like amazing. It's like they've been through the thick and thin of my life. And so, yeah, I love these guys. And so we've got each other's backs for sure. The thing that really resonates with me are really powerful affirmations. Sometimes we go through some hard things in our life and realize like, I don't know what to do, but a really great coach, and she's still my coach. She said to me one day, it was Caprice Gun, and she said to me one day, she was like, because I was just like repeating it over and over. I didn't realize I was doing it, but I was in a really hard part of my life. And I was like, I just don't know what to do. So it was Caprice, I don't know what to do. And she listened for a minute, and then she stopped me and she goes, but if you did know what to do, what would you do? And it just completely shifted the energy around my affirmation of I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden that I was like, oh, okay, well, I would do this. And she goes, write it down. So when you find yourself saying to yourself, I don't know what to do sometimes, which we're all there, we're business and personal, turn that question around and say, but if you did know what to do, what would you do? So one of the things that I like to do is repeat affirmations that are more positive than I don't know what to do. And to bring Tony Robbins back in, which brings me full circle to the question of who likes Tony Robbins in here. I just got done with Business Mastery, and it was a huge opportunity for me that I'm completely grateful to Nubia for sharing that opportunity with me. So 5 days of Business Mastery, and it was outstanding. One of the affirmations that he has is chant is I love numbers and numbers love me. And that was not the case when I got into real estate because I hated numbers and they freaked me out. That was my affirmation. And then when I got onto the Bustos team and became his lead buyer specialist, he's all about the numbers. And I just kept like, you'd find me under the table. I was looking at anywhere that I could go to get away from having that conversation because I didn't know how. And finally, one day I got super brave and I just looked him straight in the eye and I took a good deep breath and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I don't understand the last 2 paragraphs you just said. And he is like, well, that's business 101. Great, I don't get it. And he is like, okay, well, I'll teach you. Not the response I thought I was gonna get.
Right.
Because it wouldn't have been dipping and dodging him so much if I thought that he would actually be open to teaching me. So this class is born out of a lot of different scenarios where if I had understood some things better, if I had 3 nuggets to share in a conversation, I would have been looked upon differently. So I'll be very vulnerable with you and tell you I've always been the cute, fun one in the room, but I really want to be the smart, sexy one in the room. And numbers are sexy. And the understanding of numbers is sexy. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to shift this a little bit. And so here's where this came from. So this is the closing out of the second quarter. So the numbers that we're going to be looking at is the closing of the second quarter. We'll be closing the third quarter at the end of September. And then we'll be looking at those numbers at the end of October. And it's so funny because it was like, I used to, okay, so I had a really good friend of mine that was an operator for the market center that I ran. And I used to think, oh, great, the numbers are closed out on September 30th, and I want the numbers on October 2nd. And it doesn't work that way. So you got to give like 2-3 weeks, more like the 3 weeks, to have the numbers really kind of come out of the system. So by the end of October, we'll be ready to discuss September, or I'm sorry, the third quarter. So what I want and my goal and my intention with this class is to have everybody that's freaked out by numbers understand enough to be dangerous and have a good conversation. But then the ones that actually love the numbers to have a deeper understanding and to how to have a better conversation. And so let's go ahead and get started. And so these are the prices and trends. I can do it. I can't do it. That's another affirmation. I can do hard things.
I can do this. I got this. I got this, remote. I own you.
Okay. So how do you become the Utah economist of choice? Now, just that phrase alone might freak some of you out. You're like, oh, I'm not an economist. I would have said that too. But here's the thing is that I want you to understand the numbers so that you can feel like you can have some good stuff to talk about. Okay. Oh, well, I'm gonna be a little closer. Oh, I'm not too close. Okay, cool. All right. So look at the factors, including unemployment, GDP, and inflation, as well as inventory, home sales, mortgage rates, and more. And then having an understanding of these numbers, that's where the power comes in, particularly sales trends, available inventory, days on market, establishing a trusting relationship with your clients. If you don't know, because sometimes it depends on who you're talking to, but if it's a super high C, which means the detailed kind of behavioral style, trust me, they know the answer of the question that they're asking you. They just want to know what you're going to say if you don't know. And it's okay to say, I don't know, but let me get back with you, and then do it fast. Okay. Don't try to fake it till you make it unless you're talking to a high I and then I'm faking it while I make it too. And then we're okay there. But at the end of the day, it's like, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know, that's a really great question. Let me get back with you on that. And then do it fast. Like, don't let a week go by. Like, answer them if you can in the same day. While it's smart to have a general understanding of national numbers, it's really much more important to have an understanding of our local MLS for the most accurate market picture of who we are in Salt Lake. So you can help your clients navigate the current landscape with confidence, okay? If you're working with a first-time home buyer, they don't know much. Like, they're really struggling, just trying to get across the threshold of saying, yes, they want to buy a first home, and trust me, they're freaking out probably. Like, I'd say 85% of them are just on the inside, just shaking their guts out. They would look at you as the business professional to help them navigate, but it doesn't have to be uber complicated, okay? To me, it's like, keep it simple, stupid, just kiss it. It's just like, just make sure that it comes across as an easy conversation. So if you understand the numbers, you'll have a sense of how the economy is going, and you'll be able to sit with your clients and have an economic, you'll be the economic authority of choice. I'm going to break it down super simple, because a lot of times if you're brand new and you're just kind of starting into it, GDP, what the heck is that? Gross domestic product. It's the value of all finished goods and services made in a country within a specific time frame. I'm going, or Jeff is going to forward this entire presentation to you, so don't worry, you don't have to memorize all this stuff. It's foreign to you. If it's not foreign to you, great. It's just a review. Inflation. A healthy inflation stands at about 2%. Currently, there is some concern that relief packages that are being offered will cause inflation in-house. Don't let yourself get sucked into any conversation about government. Don't let yourself get into any politics, church, state, nothing.
Stick to the numbers and don't let anybody bait you, because really at the end of the day, we have to be a chameleon, and we have to be just talking about the economy and nothing else, in my humble opinion. If you're with like-minded people and you know you are and you're trusting and it's okay, you might let your hair down a little bit, but I will tell you, I would put my guard up and I would just be very, very much talk about the numbers in the economy. Unemployment, a healthy unemployment rate should fall below 6%. Prior to the pandemic, the US was at 3.5 unemployment, which is at its highest point ballooned up to 14.8% in April. However, by the end of 2020 was back to 6.7. You guys, we're seeing trends that have never been seen before. Things are happening that have never happened before. People can be freaked out. You're helping them to navigate, because depending on what they're listening to and who they're listening to, they're going to have all kinds of different thoughts. But dang it, nobody can argue with math. Okay, so you write, like when you get this, I would jot down like 3 nuggets in a few different categories. And then literally, you guys, until you get it up in here, there's nothing wrong with you having a listening presentation and having a little cheat sheet off to the side. Nothing wrong at all. Because at the end of the day, you're helping them to see what is real, okay? Current unemployment in the US is now 5.9%. Utah's current unemployment is 2.7%. Can we all just say an amen, hallelujah, as to why people are coming in? We have got an incredibly strong economy. In several categories, we are #1 in the nation, just us. How cool is that? The state's unemployment rate was 3.1%, or I'm sorry, 3.1 percentage points lower than the national rate. The unemployment rate in Utah peaked in April of 2020 at 10.1%. Okay. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay. Q2, 455,000 is the median sold price point. Now, one of the things that I learned about midway through my study of numbers is that I thought median and average were interchangeable. It's not. So I'll teach you in this with a couple of slides a little bit later as to what's the difference, so that you can say that. And there's little mind hacks, because sometimes I get a little so into the conversation, I forget what my facts are. So I give you a couple of mind hacks that you can use. Q1, the median price point was 415,000, which is an increase of 10%. To have double-digit increase in a year would be phenomenal. In a quarter is ridiculous. Okay, again, new sales trends that have never been seen before. When we look at the second quarter price compared to the second quarter of last year, then we see an increase from 369.9 to 455, which represents an increase in 1 year of 23%. That is crazy. 4,791 units were sold in Salt Lake in Q2 of 2021. 3,583 number of homes sold in Q1, an increase of 33%. Compare it to 2020 first quarter, 3,471, which represents a 1.5% increase year over year. So a lot of times there's some stories out there, right? If anybody has ever read Loving What Is with Byron and Katie, and people have stories that they tell themselves. I have stories I tell myself. And when I start freaking myself out, I make myself stop, take a good deep breath and say, is it true? And I'm just, the first emotional answer is, yes, it's true.
It's my story.
Yes, right. And is it really true? Do you have facts that it's really true? No, not really. Okay, well, that's just how you feel. That's your story that you told yourself. A lot of people, and so like I've told themselves a story that the real estate market is bonkers, yada, 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 1.5% increase. Okay, well, not so bonkers. But if you can explain this to them, then that will help them to take a breath.
Hey, before you move on,
Yeah.
is this all single family, including condos and townhomes?
Yeah, It's everything, it's units. I didn't separate because it would be too complicated. To me, it's like, again, just keep the conversation simple. If I start really geeking out, which I can, if I really start geeking out on people with single family homes, condos, townhomes, you know, land, but I didn't include land, it's really a property, but I'm talking in units, not separation of that. Good question. So median days on market is 5, 6 median days on market in Q1. So the median sold price is the middle point. So think median, middle for a local market's price bracket. So the word median is not the average price, but it functions as a more accurate indicator of the average price of a home. Okay. The median sold price of $455,000 represents a 23% increase from Q1 2020's median sold price of $369,900. Great news for sellers, terrible news for buyers. My son came to me a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple months ago, the first time he actually said it. He's like, I think I need to buy a house. Or he's like, I think he said something. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I think I'm gonna wait. It's like, that's really not a good idea. And I'm like, can you do something? And he goes, and I said, do you want to talk to the loan officer? And he was like, no, I know what they're gonna say. And I thought to myself, I know what they're gonna say too. But I was like, what do you think they're gonna say? And his DTI is too high because my kids went through a financial crisis with our family. One came out completely freaked and won't spend any money on anything, saves everything. The other one came out going, you could die tomorrow, let's buy all the toys. And so 2 kids coming from the same 2 parents having a way different experience. And so it's so funny because I think my son, every time I think, oh, he's gonna marry his girlfriend of 11 years and he's 26, and it's like he's gonna get on with his life, right? No, they just go buy another toy. Hey, it's okay, you do you, babe. Oh, wait, hang on, I'm gonna make sure I get this. Oh, can I go back, Jeff?
Yeah, the button below
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna scooch back because I left Jeff one. Okay. I'm gonna scoot down for this one. Homes are selling, but if the demand exceeds supply, this can create a housing shortage, which where we're at, which puts a drag on the health of an economy by keeping people locked in as renters. So that's a big thing. Okay, rent is going up, house prices are going up. There is a pocket of people that are really struggling, like they're really having some issues as to what is happening, where, you know, it's costing them a lot more to live. And because the housing prices are going up, then the rentals are following suit. Okay, so it's creating an issue. So again, median is the score that falls exactly in the middle, such that by half the people had higher scores and half of them had lower scores. So let me show you this. So it's the middle price of the numbers that are put in order. Okay. So 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, 36 is the median. Where if you added them up, divided them by the total number, that's the average. The median is a truer sense from an economist standpoint. And again, the mind hack is median equals middle, remember your 2 M's, okay? So why is the median price higher year over year? A high demand for new and existing properties ranging from single family to townhome to condo in Salt Lake Valley. Now my numbers are based off of just Salt Lake Valley. They did not include all of Utah because St. George is always just a little bit stranger than we are. And so it's like, that's a whole nother class. And what we're concerned with is our backyard. And so that's what this is all based on. A low supply of affordable housing options for home buyers. That's another, it's the low listing inventory. The low listing inventory is getting a little bit better, not a whole lot, a little bit better. Things are shifting, we can kind of feel it. You've got the people over there that are doomsdayers and it's like, okay, here it comes, this is the big one, you know, and I'm just like, no. And we'll talk about that in a second, about how to have that conversation, you know. But it's really, in my humble opinion, and because now that I'm like understanding all of this, now I'm completely geeking out on numbers. Like I go to so many different economists and hear so many different talks, and I'm just thrilled with the ones that actually have the courage to actually have an opinion. Some of them will just like verbally vomit numbers and statistics on you, but I like the ones that are like, I think this might be going here, and here's why I don't think that. I like it when somebody actually has an opinion, because I think that that's kind of cool, because I want to see if my opinion lines up with theirs. And this means that more people are bidding for fewer homes, causing a price increase, which we've all sensed that as well. So there are a lot of people from the states that are coming in to Utah, California, Washington, and Texas being one of the three. I'll give you the top 5 states that are coming in, and then I'll tell you what I would do with that information in just a second. And they're looking for homes as well, because to be honest with you, there are a few positive things that came out of the pandemic, if we will. And the companies figuring out that people can work remotely successfully is opening up a lot. And so people that are over there in California going, heck with this stupid state, I'm out. Then they can come into Utah and have our economy, our lifestyle, all of the things that Utah offers. They're like all day long, yes, sign me up. And so that's where we're seeing a lot of it, and we'll go over the specifics in just a second. How are we tracking? Are we good? Do we have any questions? Have I said anything that's confusing? How are we doing?
Can you just go over the DISC again? I can't remember what they
Yes.
stand for.
So each one stands for a behavioral style. The D is a driver. The I is an influencer, which is the people person. The S is the steady. And then the C is detail oriented and correct. The D's and the I's will move fast. The S's and the C's will move slower. If you're a combination of like for me, I'm an IS. I was an ID. My 99% out of 100, it never gonna change. Like, and my little, like the way they do it on the chart is like they got a little star and a little circle, and most times people's like little stars over here and little circles over here. Mine's in the same little box, and I'm like, yep, I am me, and I'm comfortable doing that. So it's okay. You know, like that's never gonna change. Like if we buy, great. If we don't, it's okay. But I love people, so I'm the influencer. But I'm an IS. I started out an ID when I got, and then I met William Bustos, and that quickly changed.
So I'm not a D.
Yeah, but I was just like, God, he's the highest D I've ever met, and we were just like banging heads, just constantly banging heads. I'm like, can't do this. So I learned how to physically dial my D down, and then all of a sudden my S really started coming up, because I discovered, which I think has always been true, I love being on a team. I love being around people, but I love the team atmosphere. I make better decisions when I can talk to people and bounce ideas off, and then I make a decision. So then you'll see me fast and then slow, and then fast and then slow. It just depends on the situation and what I gotta do. Like I had to make a decision, and I'm telling you guys, oh my gosh, I was spreading over it. And then finally this morning, I was listening to one of my Tony Robbins podcasts, and I was just like, dude, it's paint. It's not rocket science, freaking different color. And I was overthinking it so badly, and I was like stressing over it. And I'm like, it's paint. And I just texted my guy, and I was like, I've decided it's this. And I'm like, final answer. But at the end of the day, it's like I can, and you were seeing me like really slow on that decision. It's silly, but there it is. So, okay. Any other questions? Great question. Any other questions? And then, on this, you guys, I'll tell you about, remind me, you guys, to tell you about this, and then there's another one, the fall classes. I'm doing a disc review next week on Wednesday, and then taking everybody out in a field trip on Thursday for Kathy's Caravan, which is a class I wrote myself to teach you how to use the disc when you're showing homes, so that it doesn't freak you out when you're with somebody that's like way opposite than you. But remind me at the end, and I'll tell you about that. So here's the top 3 reasons that Utah is in demand, as if we had to know the top 3 reasons. We do know, but at the end of the day, larger properties. Here's the thing. We have the tiny home syndrome, right? But then all of a sudden, everybody's like, you mean I gotta stay in this box? So the pandemic came around and like, I'm not staying in this. If I can't go to the gym, I want a gym. I can't go to the theater, I want a theater. If I can't go to the park, I want a backyard. You know, it's like all the things. And we have larger properties in Utah. And so that's a huge deal. And they like that. affordable market price. I know that our prices have gone up so much from what we know, but at the end of the day, we're still very affordable to a lot of people. They're selling their places in California and coming here and going, I can get that for that. Yeah. And they're putting a chunk of money down and only mortgaging a very small portion. But they are carrying the mortgages, and we haven't seen very many that are all cash, because it's such a smarter move to carry a mortgage because of taxes and all kinds of other things. And so that's what we're seeing on the title side of things. And then, of course, our great scenery and our beautiful outdoor activities. And so I went on a hike up at Sundance to Stewart Falls over the weekend. And you just find yourself with every step you're taking going, I'm only 35 minutes from my house. This is just so cool. And I lived here for 25 years. And so it doesn't ever get old. And everybody feels that way. So there we are, top 3 reasons. So there's approximately 993. This was at the time that I wrote it. I checked it this morning. There's about 1,100. So it's a small uptick. So it's about 1,100 units. And again, that's everything. Q1, 543 was the median. They're currently listed in the Salt Lake County area. Normally, there would be 3,500 listings at any given time. A healthy market is 3 to 6 months worth of inventory. We don't even come close. And then let me see if I can get this right, because this is something I've been working on for years. When somebody says months or weeks of inventory, what it means is that if there were no more listings with the buyer pool that we have, if the buyers went out and bought everything that we had and we had nothing more to give, how many days would that take? And so that's, or how many weeks or how many months. Healthy would be 3 to 6 months. But now you're lucky if it's 3 to 6 days, if that helps. And some it's 3 to 6 hours, depending. Okay, if that helps. Was that clear? Does everybody understand what I'm saying with the inventory? When somebody speaks to you in the real estate world, you know, oh my gosh, we only have 3 weeks worth of inventory. Now you know what they mean by that, okay? Each property is receiving dozens of offers from time to time, local and out of state. However, here's another misnomer. Everybody in Utah thinks that everybody from California is buying up all their property. That is not true. Utahns are still buying Utah homes, number 1. Okay, so, and that's a statistic. That's not, Kathy said, that's not that. It's a statistic, okay? So that's a good one to because that's a good conversation starter, because you're going to find, especially people who are born and raised here, those dang Californians, they're buying up everything. Nope, Utah is still buying Utah. So it does present a challenging market for everyone. And to be honest with you, I get that the sellers are loving that their houses are worth this much. Please don't forget that the process they're going through is very stressful for them. Very stressful. They don't want to look at 30 offers, you know, they really don't. They'd be happy looking at 3 to 5. And it is kind of adjusting a little bit. So when you're out there in the trenches, so what are you seeing now? How many offers are being presented? How long does it take you to get something under contract?
So days on the market have more than doubled. I mean, before, what were they, 4 days on the market? Now
Yeah.
we're looking at least 2 weeks or more.
Okay.
You need to price a little bit better than you did before. Before, that was my goal. I only wanted 3 or 4 offers, right?
Yeah.
But now if I price aggressively like that, then I'm probably not going to get any offers for at least a couple weeks.
Okay.
So it has changed, and
Yeah.
it could be just the time of year.
It can be. I think a trend, in my opinion, you have to see a trend for at least 3 quarters before you can say, okay, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're living with. Right now, as you can see, we're shifting every quarter. So it's like, I don't know. See me at the end of next month, and I'll tell you what last month looked like.
They're throwing out their seller's market, here we come, and I'm like, you know what, you're throwing out the wrong thing.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's happening right now. It's
Yeah.
been the weirdest 2 years ever.
I study my daughter's neighborhood in Sandy, and it's been so interesting because the sellers are like lobing it big time over the bow with their prices. And they're like, and in the neighborhood, in my humble, again, opinion, is I think the neighborhood's worth like 450-ish. And we're seeing some 530s come out, and I'm like, in your dreams. And you're watching it in 10 days, it comes down 30 grand, 500. Let's try that.
Yeah.
So it's like you're seeing like, boom, and then they're like, oh, no, maybe this. And then sometimes they're doing, oh, this, you know, it kind of depends, like they're shooting it. And then the buyers are going, and then they're like, okay, oh, you had to ask. You know?
It's an adjustment for buying agents though, because most
Yeah.
buying agents are used to telling their people to offer above or at list, right?
Yes, this is the thing though. Ugh, okay, I'm gonna go on the opinion vote. I think a CMA is still must. You've got to have an idea where the neighborhood is. And I think that the agents that are treating it like a business, they're doing their CMAs, they're seeing the 530s and they're like, I think you're kind of up in the night, I see it at 490. And being okay with that. But there for a period of time, it just didn't work that way. But there weren't the five, I think we had to bang our heads against that ceiling. But it doesn't mean that the whole bottom is gonna drop out. And it also doesn't mean that, oh, see, I told you, it's all gonna fall apart. No, you asked too much. Society and the buyers are saying, no, we think it's here. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we had to ask, we had to find out where that ceiling was. But I still think you've created a new floor. But I think what's going to happen is that floor is going to stay for a little bit. I think you've just kind of found it, but it doesn't mean the bottom's gonna drop out. It's not a glass ceiling, you know, it's here it is. And all of the economists are just saying, okay, well, you know, here's where we're gonna live for a little bit. That doesn't mean that it's gonna do this like it did in 0809. That doesn't exist because the market, everything is super way different. So to have that conversation, because you're gonna have some people that haven't moved in 20 years. And they're gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna wait until the prices bottom out because this can't maintain itself. Yes, it can, and here's why. And take the nuggets that you're learning in this class and explain it to them, just the way I did for you guys. Be like, yeah, you know, it kind of went up like this, and then it's coming back down just a little bit, but this is where we live. This is creating the floor. Everyone's credit scores are good. The mortgage products are solid. That is what one of the issues was in 08, 09, is that if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan. People were making stuff up. They were having antique cars. You know, I mean, it's like all kinds of funky stuff, right? That is not this market. This market is with solid buyers, with solid job records, with solid credit scores. We're in a different space, but here's where we're going to, and they're saying, here's where we're going to be for quite a few months. But that's barring anything unforeseen, like, oh, I don't know, world pandemic. So who knows? But at the end of the day, to be able to explain that to your clients is really key. So for you, education for the client is key. And it sets expectations for them as to what they will see and experience during the process of home buying and selling. Because they rely on you, okay? If you got somebody that hasn't sold in 25 years and they're strongly opinionated, you don't have to argue with them. Just bring in the stats and it explains itself. And then just have a conversation with them about it and just do it 3 nuggets at a time. Because most of the time, people will get it after 1, maybe 2 sessions of the 3 nuggets. But, you know, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I get that. The market in Salt Lake City is going strong this year, but with a high demand and growing number of home buyers, the market will continue to have a listing shortage for a little bit. The builders are still struggling a bit to keep up with the high demand for new construction. Lumber prices have recently come down, but the consumer is really not quite seeing that decrease yet. It is expected that the price drop will be reflected in the next few months, but really only time will tell. It depends right now. You just kind of in a little bit of a question mark there. But I will tell you that there are some states that will react and do things a little more aggressively, and it takes a few months for it to get to Utah. So what I mean by that is, if you've got outlier states, let's use California and Texas, okay? Things will be there. So if you really kind of want to know like what is coming down the road to Utah, most of the time back in 08, 09, we saw a trend of it taking about 18 months for it to get to Utah, because Utah's conservative. They're thinkers. They're gonna process it, and then make a decision. But again, very conservative. So it took 18 months, right? Now they said it's a well-worn path, so we're looking at 6 months. So it's like it happens out here, 6 months later, it's gonna be like kind of being seen in Utah. Example of that is my daughter is building a home, new construction in Texas, just outside of Dallas in a little town called McKinney. She went 6 months ago to go and put her deposit on her lot down in, and then break ground and all that kind of good stuff, right? Halfway there, the builder called her and said, we're not going to sell you that lot and put the house that you want on that lot. We're going to put this house on it. It's gonna raise the price by 150 grand, take it or leave it. Jeez. She was literally in her cart to give them a check. And she's like, I think I'll leave it. And she goes, and by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but my team sells 750 homes a year and we represent you really well. Be careful. Turn her car around, she went back. She went to her team leader and she was, if you know my daughter at all, and she is a driver and a half, and she runs me over, backs up, runs me over again. She's such a driver, it's crazy. But she was like calling me, she's like, she reminded me of that little old cartoon with the, it was like jumping all around, she was so mad. And she was telling me all about it, and I was just like, well, how does that make you feel? She hates when they ask her. So how does it make you feel? And she goes, well, actually it makes me sad. Because really, she didn't think she wanted to do that anyway. It was really her husband that wanted to go out into the birds. She wanted to stay downtown. And she was like, when it all kind of came down and I was driving back, she was, I realized I was sad. And I was like, oh, no, what does that mean? She was, well, probably means that I wanted it more than I thought I did. Oh, okay, well, I'm sure everything works out for a reason. We firmly believe that. Yeah, okay. Then about 2 months ago, same new construction people called her up right when the lumber prices went down, like within 2 weeks of the lumber prices going down, called her up and said, we will sell you the lot, build the house you want, and give you a $15,000 price reduction. And she's like, right on. Act on, she goes. She gave the deposit, she's picked her colors, all the things, and she's broke ground and she's going. The thing is that maybe we might see that happen here. I don't know that they'll do a price reduction because the new construction people here stand pretty firm once they put a price on it. But we'll see. So maybe we might see new construction kind of start to.
I had a new
Yeah.
construction come and give my clients 10,000 in the design center just last week.
That's their version.
I'm like, oh, you won't give them money back because you projected it was going to be this expensive, but you'll give them these upgrades.
Yes.
So, I mean, at least they got something.
It's something. It's something. I think we'll, but again, time will tell. We will see. But I think we'll maybe start to see a little bit more of that. And that's it's a good compromise. I like that. It's something. Okay. The builders are just in a wait and see mode. CDOM stands for cumulative days on market. Refers to the number of days a home is on the market from the first day that it's listed to the last day when it's sold to the new owner. The CDOM currently is 5 days. The time frame for this year was shorter when we compare it to 2020, which is 24 days. Okay. This speaks to the urgency of most home buyers to get into a new home in a more affordable market. Combine our low unemployment with the historically low interest rates that we have, our state's low tax rates, and you have the makings of a really hot real estate market. And speaking of the mortgage rates, 30-year fixed is at 2.822. It may be 2.7 now. I'm not 100%. I've heard some 2.7s, but I think it's a little here, a little there. Could raise with warning, so it is a great time to buy. And the mortgage rate is something that's a little tricky because you'll wake up one day, it's like, not like 6, not gonna do that, but all of a sudden it can bounce up, you're just like, whoa, crap, what happened? So everybody's 30-day locks, they're a little bit more cautious about that. So here's a question that we're hearing a lot. Will the housing market slow down in 2021? And here is the prediction. So as we discussed before, there are several factors that play a part in the value of homes. All our indicators in Utah do not support that there will be a decline in property values in the near future. Our population growth is another big driver in the demand for housing. The state's population grew by 18.4% from 2010 to 2020, which outpaced the national market by 7.4%, and it made it the fastest growing state in the US, still is, okay? So our population growth, low inventory just doesn't, that equation doesn't give us, oh, the market's gonna fall apart. So to me, it's like being armed with again, the three nuggets, having, and we don't, because sometimes if I'm talking to somebody that's very, very opinionated, I can feel myself escalate and I get into an argumentative stage. And I'm like, hey, whoa, McFly. And I'm like, yeah, back that up. So just keep quoting on the stats and keep your blood pressure down. Because it really does spell what it is. And remember that the real estate experts predict that home prices will increase by double digits in 2021 in Utah. And from there, prices are projected to grow at a slightly slower rate. So what we were saying, it's like, here we are. And I think we're pretty close. I mean, we might, a little, but I think we're kind of there for the slower rate of 2022. With new buyers continuing to enter the market and not enough homes for sale to meet demand, they are still going up, but I think we're kind of might be leveling off a little bit. We'll know more when we get into the third quarter, kind of what that quarter did. So I think that'll tell the story. So why is Utah real estate so expensive? So we have lots of job opportunities. Our Utah job market is very strong. So many new people are coming into the state. This, along with the native population growing up and wanting to stay here, makes the housing demand huge. They have a very hard time pacing the growth of demand for housing. And the higher the demand, the higher the price. But again, I think we've kind of found a little bit of a niche, but we'll see. To me, the answer is, when should I buy? Now is always the right answer. Just now. Because we were creating new sales trends and anomalies in 08, 09. We've never seen anything like that before. Do we ever think we're ever going to see it again? And again, I mean, I don't know, even the world pandemic couldn't really smack everybody down for more than a couple of months, because it bounced right back up, going, yeah, well, whatever. And I don't ever mean to make light about the pandemic, ever. And I don't want to be, because I joke around a lot, and I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I give everyone grace for wherever they stand on this topic and this subject. And so, but to me, it's like, again, stick with the numbers, tell the story of the real estate in numbers and in statistics. And I think that gives you, because what I would say if I was you, I work a little differently than some agents do. I wouldn't say most, because I think a lot of agents are really getting educated much faster nowadays. But I love that phrase. I work a little differently than some agents do. Here's why. Because can a lot of people have these types of conversations that are agents? No, that's just a fact. Okay. So this is the end of the presentation, but I would like to have discussions. If you have questions,
What do you
please.
think about like the moratorium coming for that? Like, I keep hearing that.
Of the renters.
No, like the people that have mortgages that they put on the forbearance. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, do we have a number of how many people that is?
Actually, in Utah, it's very low. I do know that. It's very low in Utah. I go to SLREA meetings monthly, which is the Salt Lake Real Estate Investors Association. And they have very few people that are renters that are not paying the rent. So that number is low. Again, you got to remember, we live in a very conservative state. People do the right thing. So they didn't take a lot of forbearance. It's not in the double digits like it is in the rest of the nation. So it will affect us a little bit less. Here's what I would keep my eye on, is that places that were the affordable housing, like let's just say Stansbury Park in Tooele, where they had new construction that were in the 30s. Those people stretched a little bit to get into those houses, and they may have been of a mindset where they didn't quite understand the forbearance. And if they went into it, I would, if I was you and I was a realtor and selling real estate, I would be farming that area so that I was the expert that they went to when they go upside down, because there could be a few. It's not gonna be a lot, it's gonna be a whole neighborhood did it. But that's an opportunity. I hate to kind of, but capitalist. You messed up, I'll help you. You messed up, I'll help you. See, that's what they said to me. Yeah, I messed up. So, but anyway, I think that's, I sort of answered your question. I'm not 100% sure, but there's not a ton out in Utah that have done it, some. And I think it's gonna be hit and miss, and there's not gonna be like pockets. But as far as neighborhoods and an opportunity, I would be looking out there. Cause you've also got people that have bought cars and boats on that zero with the, you don't have to pay for 6 months. All that crap's gonna hit the fan at the same time. It sounds like a perfect storm to me. And people need that houses anyway, and they won't be upside down. That's the cool part. There won't be any short sales. Short sales just won't exist because the market just won't allow it right now. It's not that place. And so to me, you can help them get out of a tough situation, but they're not going to be owing a ton of money. They'll make money to pay everything off. So it's just a probably more of a ego thing for them. I mean, because people thought they were making good decisions, and then when it all kind of came about, maybe not. Yeah. So to help, yeah. Okay.
Kathy, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Kathy Ray from Spokane. If I may, I'd like to share.
Oh, you went on mute. Hey, Kathy, you went on mute.
If I may, I'd like to share something that was just in Spokane Sunday's paper, Spokane, Washington. The name of the article is called Sticker Shock. And Spokane has ranked number 6 in the nation for priced above value for pricing history. And the reason I'm sharing this is because of the first of this 10 that are on this list right here, Boise is first with 80.64%, Austin with 50.72%, Ogden, Utah, 49.7%, Provo, Utah, 46.16%, Detroit, 45.57%, Spokane, 45.21%, and Salt Lake City, 42.41%. So those are the top 6 out of this 10 on this list, 4 of which are in Utah.
What was this statistic for? I'm sorry, I missed the front part.
It says that, well, it says the sticker shock. It says Spokane ranks 6th in nation for homes priced above value for pricing history. And that's what the article is about. And this was prepared by Florida Atlantic University, allows readers to quickly see the premium or discount that they are paying on their metro or average.
Yeah.
So like
And
the
I
top,
could totally
the top 10 highest. But
yeah,
I
I can go with you on the like Ogden and Provo being above Salt Lake, because I think Ogden was super low undervalue. So they had a lot of momentum to make up for it because they were way undervalued. And then
But I mean,
Provo, like
Provo was number 4. Yeah.
yeah, we kept waiting, like it's like, what in the world is happening down there? And it's like their value was way above ours, and we're just like, well, you know, okay. But it was like so odd because we've studied Provo for probably, well, and Ogden too, but Ogden was an easy, like, okay, I get that because of the undervalue. But Provo, because of Silicon Slopes, like in Lehigh and whatnot, like Lehigh went through the roof. It's like a little mini LA. And it's like, well, what the heck is happening? So they had to go somewhere, and they were like, we don't really necessarily want to go here, so we'll go here. And so they went down there, and then all of a sudden their prices started going through the roof. It's just, like I said, we're kind of creating sales trends that have never been seen before.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's
But,
crazy.
you know, Spokane is almost never on some of these lists, you know, but
Yeah.
since the pandemic and all, they've been on several different lists. It's been like in the top 10 or top 20 in the nation for fastest growing house prices, people moving in, just like your state as well. And I just thought it was kind of interesting because usually, you know, we have to compete with Seattle, you know, because they're on the west side of Washington and we're 5 hours away. And there's like plain and desert in between, you know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for us, but it's also very good for you guys too. You know,
Yeah.
your state. So I just wanted to share that with you.
It is
I could
good.
send this to you if you'd like to see what.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
And also, my previous married name was Kathy Moore.
Kindred spirits, kindred spirits. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, those kinds of articles, you guys like put them in your listing presentation, but
Yeah.
make sure that it's of a, not an opinionated type of a deal. It's like just facts and figures,
Well, this
because
is-
then.
This was in the
people
business
know
section.
what's
Yeah, this
what.
was in the business section of Spokane, or of Sunday's newspaper, which usually where a lot of that
Nice.
comes from, so, yeah.
And Kathy, you can look, you probably already know this, but if you go to your version of the MLS, all of the statistics, like the median price point, the days on market, all of that will be there. So if you can put those in your listing presentations, because I think that it's a great conversation to have, and it really does set you above the
Actually-
upper crust.
Actually, our MLS does do that. In fact, they put a pretty nice little, like a flyer of what it was last year compared to this year, and they do a really good
Perfect.
job on it, I think, so.
See, I love that. When
Yeah.
they're really on it, it's like, that's when they're useful, and that's when you don't want to.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, hey, did I give you guys my contact information in case you need me or have any questions? And I know some of you were not in the same state, but let me, oh, thanks, look at you. Okay, I'm gonna type it in. All techie and stuff.
I'm gonna make you a title slide.
Ooh, that would be fun. Yeah, right. I have that, except for this one, yeah, except for this particular class, I don't have it.
While she's doing that, does anybody else have any other questions as we wrap up?
I do have a quick question.
Yeah,
So obviously, I can agree with all of this. So Utah, our job market's crazy. I feel like the biggest thing that people kind of argue back with is that salaries and raises and all of that aren't keeping up with inflation and prices. So how do you explain that?
Did you say you're right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there was
Trends,
statistics
yeah.
you had that, like, you know.
Yes, and I want a slide on that in my third quarter presentation, because yes, that's a hot topic.
Yeah.
And also, which brings me up to another thing, so hold that thought. You have to know your audience as to who you're speaking to before you say our unemployment is so amazing and fantastic, because if they're in the travel or entertainment industry, it is not that story for them. And you've got some beautiful actors, singers, dancers here in Utah, and they're suffering. So know your audience, know what they do for a living before you start going, so much to live, because like they may be really having some issues. So to speak to that, what I have seen in a few trends, which I'm so grateful for, and to be honest with you, it's like I'm a huge foodie and I love wine. And so, and Utah's just coming up. We are just coming in to our own on that kind of front. But my point is that some of the locally owned restaurants are recognizing that their servers can't even afford rent, leave alone home ownership. So they are agreeing to pay them an hourly salary or hourly wage of $15 an hour in addition to their tips, to help that come up and be more balanced. Now, to be honest with you, it's a handful. So it's just the tiniest tip off of a huge iceberg, but it's a step in the right direction. And I go to those restaurants because to me, it's like, not only do I want to support local, I want to support women owned, but I want to support people that are doing the right thing, and I'll tip extra. Because it's like, yeah, that's amazing, and I'll go to you more often than others. So yeah, that's you're correct. And the average salary in Salt Lake is coming up. Is it coming up fast enough? It'll probably lag a year, but I think but at the end of the day too, it's like also that's a ripple effect into businesses, because if they have to start ramping up their salaries for their employees, that probably equals that they have to have less employees. It's just it's a cause and effect.
I think that's going to be a big differentiator. In some Wasatch, I went to a summit that they did up there, and it's hurting major with all the business owners up there. There's no affordable housing solutions. There was one lady that was like, I had a dishwasher come in and he was expecting to get paid $28 an hour. And she's like, I might as well go out of business, which we've seen. I mean, I've seen probably 15, 20 restaurants go out of business, shut down.
ADOS was just like, what the heck ever, I'm out.
Because they can't do it, right? And so that I think is the biggest thing. And then you look at grocery store chains, you know, anybody that has a lower wage employee, those are going to be the things that hurt. And I feel like that's what's going to be a major ceiling,
Yes.
is eventually that'll catch up, and now all of a sudden there's nowhere to eat, there's nowhere to get gas, there's nowhere to get food. And
Yeah.
so something's got to change and give.
Yes.
right?
I went to the Park City Parade of Homes on Monday and I was shocked when I saw Habitat for Humanity there.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? And I went in and I started asking a whole bunch of questions. I'm like, for real? Like, you built this house for who? And how did they get this? Here? And really? So it was like a tiny answer. Because she put in like a whole ton of sweat equity, but it's just, that's a 3-hour conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. That was an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, that ripple and that trickle down, it's like, you gotta understand business on all levels. It's not, because I can't go with the people that are just like, well, here's the answer. Just pay more. Well, you're an idiot, so I don't know if I can have a conversation with you. Yeah, because you just don't understand, you know, it's like, it's just not that simple, you know? So it's like, but I, and again, yes, I joke around a lot, so, but I think that if we do have a deeper understanding of the full big picture, we can start to take some steps towards some change. And to be honest with you, with realtors, it's part of it is up to us. Part of it is up to us to get in and have the right conversations with the right people that can affect the change. Supporting the restaurants that are making the better decisions and the decisions that we get behind. It's like, do your research, have some fun with it. That's the thing. It's like, doesn't have to be drudgery to find these things out. It can be super fun. And then to share it and then have groups discussions, talk to each other about it and really learn and then have great conversations with your clients, and then step by step, person by person, it'll go in the right direction, and I hope.
Well,
Agreed.
So on the sheets you guys got, this is my new agent kickoff. If you are newer into the industry, and I can't, if you're newer into the industry, this is a 3-hour course that teaches you how to sell property from A to Z. And then it kind of leads to some other classes that you can take if you would like, but this is just the kind of whole enchilada in about 3 hours. And then this is my course dates for September and October. And next week on Wednesday and Thursday, I'm doing an advanced disc class, and then also Kathy's Caravan. In the advanced disc class, we'll learn a whole bunch of information about the disc itself. And it doesn't matter if you've taken the class before. I probably took the class 10 times and then learned how to teach it because I find it to be fascinating. It's a study about people's behavioral style. It's great to know yourself, even better to be able to identify your clients. So the question to find out who your clients are is, describe your home to me. When they describe the home, that tells you who they are behaviorally. If they're Jeff and super high D's, but it's a house, what do you want? Right? Is this a bottom line kind of guy, right? It's like, don't fluff me.
no.
Just boom, there it is. If it's somebody like me and Lynn, we're gonna tell you all about the neighbors and how much this is over here. And it's like restaurants and shopping, and oh my God, you know, it's like we're gonna have so much fun if you live here. So that's us. And then the S is I'm gonna tell you how long they've lived there and how they're really not sure that they want to move. See, again, think about me with paint. It's like, oh my gosh, that color, I don't know, you know, it's like they're gonna overthink a lot of things. They're steady. It's longevity, change is hard, it's difficult. So it's like there's that. Then the C is going to be it's 1,738 square feet with 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. They're going to verbally vomit details on you. And then they're also going to tell you that they're not 100% sure that they really want to move, because does it really make fiscally good sense? It's all about the numbers, all about the details. They can be perceived as cold. So if you know this, then how you go and show a home to them, if you get it right, they're going to walk away from every situation, every closing, and go, it was awesome. Like, she really got me. Like, I actually had fun while we were doing it. Even a C will say, I had fun while we were doing this, if I get it right. To be honest with you, because my C is lower and it's manually been lifted by me, because like when I first started, it was like a 2 out of 100. Like, I did details, who cares, you want to buy a house? It's like, come on, let's go. you know, we can't waste any time, you know, I was like always pushing, and the C's were just like this, at the door, going, oh no. Yeah, give me enough details for the spreadsheet, you know. Just like, so I failed more often with them, but again, I failed forward. And Lee would come, our old team leader, Lee Stern, she would come to me, she'd be like, honey, just pay somebody to take the C's off you, you're never gonna win. And I'm like, no, but this time we have got spreadsheets and got this, I can do it this time. And then they still didn't have enough spreadsheets. But it's like how to show homes to those different behavioral styles, because there's certain things sometimes that I think just kind of click into your brain. So like with the high Cs, like I sold a home to one of the vice presidents of Wells Fargo. Biggest jerk on the planet. Didn't like him. Had to search for things that I liked about him just so I could maintain my civility. And I was just like, you're just wearing me out. But he wanted this place in Park City where all he had to do was take his suitcases and drop them down. Like he wanted everything. And at first I thought, well, that's ridiculous. I'm supposed to find one. You know, I'm grumbling under my breath. But then again, my affirmation was, well, I haven't failed with anyone. I'm certainly not going to start with you. And that's what I said. And that's what we did. And we just like roll in. So I found this place and he loved it. But something said to me, that little voice, that little intuitive voice inside of the back of your head said, take your phone and stand, there were 3 floors. Beautiful townhome, Jeremy Ranch. Take your phone and picture doing this in a 360-degree of every space, every floor. And I took a picture just like that. I'll be darned if at the walkthrough, and this is a high C, man, I'm telling you, he was like, there was a picture of a guy skiing down and it's missing. And I'm like, hang on. Looking through my pictures, sure enough, dude had a photographic memory. He liked that picture and he noticed it was gone. And I had the tedious task of calling the agent and going, give it back. I'll send you a picture of it. Give it back. And it's like, okay, didn't think you would notice. Well, you noticed, give it back. It had to come back. We had to go witness it being back. And then we could go to the closing table. Those kinds of little things you'll learn in Kathy's Caravan, where it's like, even if you do sell homes, I encourage you, it's a field trip. So we'll go look at a home and I will show you how I show. The D's, they're really, really easy. They're fast. What's hard is your story, your perception of it, because a D will walk into the room and they'll, like, true story, happened to me. The guy walked in 6 feet, looked right, looked up, and he was like, yeah, I'll take it. Walked back out to his car and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I haven't said anything. I'm like, shut up, Kathy, just pick up your stuff and go. Went back to the office, wrote it up, everything was all done. I had to go back and see it. I couldn't let it go. The back end of the house could have fallen off for all we know. Black mold in the basement, I don't know, because we didn't see it. So those kinds of things will be what I would be teaching in Kathy's Caravan. And so this goes on Wednesday. Caravans on Thursday. You don't have to go to both if you don't want to. I like them together, but you do you. And I'll give you more information about the address of the house that we're gonna go see if you're interested. I'd love to have you guys come. And then we'll just leave it at the house, I think.
Cool.
Okay.
Love it. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Isn't she fun? Kind of the takeaway is with stats and numbers and stuff, you can get this information and you don't have to know it off your memory. You can take it with you. I'm going to call Jake up here. Jake brought us lunch today for those of us that are here in person. He's our sponsor. How many of you saw Jake's last training? You guys missed it? You gotta go. Awesome. Reach out to me. You're gonna want a copy of it. I've got it. I've got a recording of that. Jake's with Solitude Mortgage. He's gonna tell a little bit about his business. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. So I'm one of the owners of Solitude Mortgage. We're a broker. So just an example of some of the stuff we can do. We essentially take a borrower or buyer's situation and we shop that to a multitude of different banks to ultimately come up with the best price, right? So we were talking mortgage rates are 2.8. I was pricing some stuff out last night. We were at 2.6 and some change. So, and that's on a good credit profile, right? The margins are going to be thinner on a good credit profile. On a worse or less than optimal credit situation, Lynn texts me at like 5:15 on Friday before Labor Day. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'll take it. And so she calls and says that they're having some, we got to come in and save the day on this loan. But essentially the way it's going to pan out is at the same rate that another unknown mortgage banker has them at, we can match the rate and give them an additional $7,000 towards their closing costs.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're
Huge.
like, it's gonna potentially save this deal that was falling into shambles with tax liens and everything else. So price wise, that's kind of one of our competitive, that's one of our advantages, right? And I got dragged into the space while reading. I started in mortgages. I've been with a tech startup for the past 3 years and some change, helping build that and grow that. And now my partner, who's slightly dumber and slightly uglier, he dragged me back into the mortgage space. And the reason I left initially was because I was at one of these banks, and it's like I can't give these people a loan in good conscience, knowing that there's a million other guys out there that can do this for much better pricing. And so that's kind of the origin of Solitude. We always tell people we started on the virtues of vengeance and revenge and pettiness.
Yes.
We just we really have a bad taste in our mouth from these other mortgage bankers that they're not beneficial to these buyers. They're just not. There's better avenues that you can take to get mortgage lending. So a little bit of background on us. If you've got any mortgage questions, please let me know. The presentation Jeff mentioned was all about bank statement loans. Yeah, so
Give them just a brief.
So
teaser on that.
essentially, I think Eric and Michelle sent one over to us that we've been working on. Should go through pretty smoothly. These people weren't going to be able to buy a house. Called me, hey, we can take just deposits into your bank statements and use that as qualifiable income, right? So what happens is you've got a self-employed buyer. Well, what they're doing is they're writing everything off their taxes. Dave, the one that you sent over to me, I think her taxable income was like $1,000 a month. Like they write everything off, as they should, right? But what happens is the government steps in and says, if you're not going to pay taxes, then you can't buy a house. So we've got a product where we take these bank statements, we just look at the deposits, no tax returns. We do pull credit, we do send somewhat normal loan, but for income qualification, if they've got good deposits in their bank, perfect. That's all we care about, right? There is some cost to it. They're a little bit more expensive than a conventional loan, which you would expect. But for people like Eric and Michelle, the person they sent over to us who couldn't get into a home, it's such a small thing to overcome, an extra few $1,000 in closing or whatever. So that's a little bit of background on bank statement loans. Any questions there? Anybody that is
Minimum down
self-employed?
payment on that?
So on a purchase, it's 10%. Refinance is you're going to need about 80 LTV, unless it's a cash out, then you need 25% equity on that. So, but purchases 10% down, and then you've got an additional 2% in added cost, right? So we've been doing a ton of these. It is more of a niche product, but when you find somebody that fits in that profile, it's just a good experience all around. They're easy loans.
Guys, like stuff like this is a talking point too, to create conversations, because people go with the norm. Oh, I need 2 or 3 years of tax returns. That's all they know. When they're self-employed, they own their own business.
I need 20% down.
And 20% down. So starting conversations with people, do you own your own business? Or since you do own your business, are you aware that there are programs that just start a dialogue? And then why not? Like I sent somebody to him, they don't have the required down payments. Why I brought that up, because that was that's a benchmark, right? We got to have skin in the game, right? But he'll be working with them, and they'll get ready in several months or whatever as they but it was having a resource, having something that's different that people, I love it when they say, I didn't know that, or nobody else told me that, and now you're the guy, right?
Yeah.
That opened up that door in that conversation. So
You probably can buy a house this year on your current tax returns, instead of waiting 6-8 months until next year and wait, and then paying a buttload in taxes because you have to claim everything.
Well, and think of this too. Kathy was just talking about appreciation for 2021, right? Going into 2022, we're still looking at double-digit appreciation in the next foreseeable future. So if they're paying a couple grand more in points to get in a house now, is that still not a better thing for them, right?
Exactly.
For sure. So I don't have business cards. I can fax you one, I guess.
Do I have any here?
Maybe, yeah, I can text you or email, like, we've invested quite a bit into our tech stack. Again, I come from the software side, so very tech driven, all super modern, and really the millennials buyer space is kind of where we fit. I mean, if you couldn't tell that just initially, so.
What's your phone number, Jane?
My phone number is 801-960-7118. If you text me, you'll hear back within 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't understand these guys that can't respond to people, so even if it is
For a holiday.
yeah,
Even if you're trying to get out of
weekend
town for a
before
holiday.
holiday, so feel free to reach out with any questions. And then we've got really cool marketing resources, all that type of stuff. We've got a huge budget to step in and help. I think we're doing a pretty awesome event at Topgolf near the end of the month that Solitude's going to sponsor. So you're stuck with me at least for the next little while. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thanks, Jeff. Lunch is on us. If you want to tip me.
I'll hang around for a minute.
I didn't want to unwrap all the bags and stuff while the presentation was going, so I can start, but if anybody wants.
Yeah, why don't you guys get up?
Yeah, if you want to eat, then you're gonna have to
Do a little work now.
Just carry
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in an appointment with her son, so if someone's here and you want to start, she's fine,
Okay.
she'll jump back on.
Cool, guys. That was good stuff. Jake is actually, has already done a training for us, and I'd love to get you a copy of that if you don't have it. So reach out to me and I can send you that recording. It's really good. And I love niche products like that. So hang out if you want. I'm gonna leave this on. I'm checking with somebody that's supposed to be here, but we're gonna roll into just kind of like talking about how we're replacing our transaction income with referral income and our brokerage model here at our company. So hang tight. We'll take just a couple minutes. I'm Jeff. Ben. Who invited me here?
something really bad.
Hey, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off. Sorry, it's kind of loud in here, but our guest isn't gonna be here today for that next portion. So we're gonna just kind of move on about our day. So I appreciate you guys. Reach out if I can do anything for you. Thanks, Kathy.